Welcome to part 2 of the complete life story of Albus Percival Wulfric Brian Dumbledore. If you missed part 1, you can click the iCard to go to that video. But without further ado, we're just going to jump right into this one. In the year 1991, Harry headed off to his first year at Hogwarts. Around the same time, Dumbledore began to suspect that the disembodied Voldemort was seeking the Philosopher's Stone, a powerful stone with the ability to grant its owner immortal life. Dumbledore had the stone moved to Gringotts and then later to Hogwarts, where he and some other teachers set up protections for the stone. Dumbledore suspected that Quirinus Quirrell was working for Voldemort, and he would be the one to steal the stone. So, Dumbledore asked Snape to keep an eye on Quirrell. Dumbledore also anonymously returned the invisibility cloak to Harry. Dumbledore later discovered that Harry had found the Mirror of Erised, and so he explained to Harry what the mirror was, explaining that the mirror showed the user's greatest desires. When asked what he saw in the mirror, Dumbledore claimed that he saw himself holding a pair of thick wool socks, but actually he saw his family alive and whole. After Harry had defeated Quirrell and retrieved the Philosopher's Stone, Dumbledore visited him in the hospital wing, and Harry questioned Dumbledore about why Voldemort had tried to kill him. But Dumbledore believed that Harry wasn't old enough to know about the prophecy, telling him that he would know when he was older. At the end of the year, Dumbledore awarded Harry 60 points, Ron and Hermione 50 points each, and Neville Longbottom 10 points, causing Gryffindor to win the House Cup. Sometime before the next year, when Gilderoy Lockhart erased the memories of two people who Dumbledore knew, Dumbledore found out that Gilderoy Lockhart was not the outstanding wizard who he claimed to be. In order to make Lockhart pay for his crimes, Dumbledore tracked him down and offered him a job as the defense against the dark arts teacher. Because obviously, if you know someone is a terrible person who steals other people's fame, the best thing to do is offer them a job. Not long after the school year started, students started being attacked by the beast from the Chamber of Secrets. Because of this, Lucius Malfoy convinced the Hogwarts Board of Governors to remove Dumbledore from being headmaster. After it was discovered who had opened the chamber and the threat taken care of, Dumbledore was reinstated. Harry told Dumbledore what had happened in the chamber and about the living memory of Tom Riddle. Dumbledore was very interested in this and began to suspect that the diary was a Horcrux, and because of how poorly guarded it was, he suspected that Voldemort had made more than one. In 1993, Sirius Black escaped from Azkaban, and the Ministry feared that he would go after Harry, so they sent Dementors to protect Hogwarts. Dumbledore did not like having the Dementors at Hogwarts, but he agreed to have them as long as they stayed out of the school itself. The Dementors broke this deal, however, by coming into the field during a Quidditch game and attacked Harry, who fell unconscious, but Dumbledore was able to prevent Harry from hitting the ground and repelled the Dementors. As the year came to an end, Harry, Ron, and Hermione discovered that Sirius had been framed, and the three told Dumbledore the news. Dumbledore believed the kids, but he had no power to save Sirius, so he instructed Hermione to use her time turner to go back in time and save Sirius. Dumbledore and Harry saw off Remus Lupin, who was the new defense against the dark arts teacher, but had to leave because Snape leaked the fact that he was a werewolf. While seeing him off, Dumbledore could tell that Harry was troubled, and asked him why. Harry told him that he felt guilty for letting Peter Pettigrew, the man who had framed Sirius, go. Dumbledore told Harry that sparing Pettigrew formed a deep magical bond between the two, and one day he would be glad he let Pettigrew go. The next year, Hogwarts hosted the Tri-Wizard Tournament, and they determined no witch or wizard under the age of 17 would be able to participate, and Dumbledore himself drew an age line around the Goblet of Fire, preventing anybody too young from entering their names. During this year, Dumbledore also hired his friend Alastor Moody, but unbeknownst to anybody, Moody was actually a Death Eater named Barty Crouch Jr. in disguise. After Harry won the Triwizard Tournament, Voldemort returned, and Cedric Diggory had been killed. Barty Crouch took Harry away from Dumbledore's presence, and because of this, Dumbledore knew he wasn't really Moody. Dumbledore, Snape, and McGonagall overpowered the Death Eater, and used Mirror got him to confess of his crimes. The Minister of Magic, Cornelius Fudge, did not believe Dumbledore's and Harry's claims that Voldemort had returned, and because of this, Dumbledore was removed from his position as Chief Warlock of the Wizengamot and Supreme Mugwump of the International Confederation of Wizards. Whew! Dumbledore said that he was fine from being removed from those positions as long as he was not removed from the Chocolate Frog cards. Before the start of the next school year, Dumbledore was made the secret keeper of the Order of the Phoenix's base location. He also attended Harry's trial with the Ministry for using magic to fight off some Dementors. When Dumbledore was choosing the prefects for the school year, he considered Harry, but chose not to because he did not want him to have more added responsibility. Dumbledore began to fear the connection between Harry and Voldemort and avoided Harry for most of the year, and instructed Snape to teach him occlumency so he could fight Voldemort. The Ministry of Magic appointed Dolores Umbridge as Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, and she believed that there was no threat that the students would face, and so she taught no actual defensive magic. This caused Harry, Ron, and Hermione to form a secret group of students then teach real defensive magic. They called the group Dumbledore's Army. After the group was discovered by Umbridge and the Ministry, Dumbledore willingly took the blame, and Cornelius Fudge called for his arrest, but he would not come willingly and went underground to help the Order of the Phoenix full time. Harry and his friends went to the Ministry because Voldemort had made Harry think that Sirius was being held there. But when they got there, they were attacked by a group of Death Eaters, and a battle broke out. At the end of the battle, Dumbledore showed up and caught all of the Death Eaters except for Bellatrix Lestrange, who got away. Voldemort himself arrived and tried to kill Harry, but was stopped by Dumbledore, and a duel broke out between the two, which ended in Dumbledore trapping Voldemort in a ball of water, forcing him to flee. Just as Voldemort was fleeing, a large group of people from the Ministry, including Fudge, showed up, and they all saw him, proving that he had in fact returned, thus restoring Dumbledore's credibility and any other rights he had lost in the past year. It was finally at this point that Dumbledore explained to Harry his connection with Voldemort, as well as the prophecy that foretold that he would vanquish the Dark Lord. In the summer of 1996, Dumbledore tracked one of Voldemort's Horcruxes to the Gaunt's house, where he traveled and found the Horcrux, a ring containing the third Deathly Hallow, the Resurrection Stone. In a moment of weakness, Dumbledore wished to see his mother and sister and put on the ring, which cursed his hand. Dumbledore was barely able to survive, but managed to contain the curse in his hand. He destroyed the Horcrux and sought Snape for help with his hand. Snape was able to help contain the curse, but both Snape and Dumbledore knew that it would end up killing Dumbledore, and so Dumbledore asked Snape to kill him when the time came. Snape rejected the plan, but Dumbledore told him that it was the only way to prevent him from great suffering. Dumbledore wanted to find out as much about the other Horcruxes Voldemort had made as he could, so he collected memories from Bob Ogden, Morphin Gaunt, Horace Slughorn. Dumbledore wanted to find out as much as he could about the other Horcruxes that Voldemort had made, so he collected memories from Bob Ogden, Morphin Gaunt, Horace Slughorn, and the House of Hokey. With these, Dumbledore was able to determine that Voldemort had made 6 Horcruxes, and he was able to determine that the Horcruxes were Tom Riddle's Diary, Gaunt's Ring, Hufflepuff's Cup, Slytherin's Locket, Nagini, and an object of Rowena Ravenclaw's. After much searching, in June of 1997, Dumbledore tracked one of the Horcruxes to a cave that Voldemort had been to as an orphan. Dumbledore and Harry planned to go and get and destroy the Horcrux. So one night, the two apparated to just outside the cave. Once inside, they found a hidden doorway which required blood to open, a lake full of Inferi, and an island in the middle which contained the Horcrux. The final obstacle was a green potion that had to be drank in order to retrieve the Horcrux. Dumbledore had Harry feed him the potion, telling him that no matter what, he'd keep going. As Dumbledore drank, he saw visions of Ariana's death, and he grew weak. As the potion came to an end, Dumbledore begged for water, and in a panic, Harry scooped Dumbledore some water from the Inferi-infested lake, causing an army of Inferi emerging from the water and attacking. Dumbledore came to and was able to make a ring of fire around him and Harry, warding off the Inferi. Harry and Dumbledore returned to Hogwarts, Horcrux in hand, where they found the dark mark over the astronomy tower. Harry, under the invisibility cloak, and Dumbledore flew up to the tower to see who had died, but found no one. The door flew open and Dumbledore froze Harry. Draco Malfoy burst through the door and disarmed Dumbledore. Draco had been tasked with killing Dumbledore, but could not bring himself to do it. After some time, Snape arrived, and as Dumbledore begged, "Severus, please." Snape raised his wand and said, "Avada Kedavra," sending Dumbledore flying off the astronomy tower and killing him instantly. That is the life of Albus Dumbledore. Also, he could understand many languages, including Parseltongue. He enjoyed 10-pin bowling and knitting patterns. Oh, and he also caught the curtains on fire in his 4th year. Woo! Okay. Thank you so much for watching, and honestly, I hope I was able to entertain you, and I hope that you enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun making this one, and I have some great ideas for more Wizarding World videos in the future, so subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of those. But once again, as always, thank you so much for watching. That is all I've got for you today. I'll see you next time.